system. I'm going to kind of skip over this now, but just for different numbers of units, different lengths, you're going to need to have a repeater. You're going to need to have extra power, et cetera. If you need extra audio outputs, the DCS LAN switcher is for redundancy, and so you'll know if that's a requirement of your customer or not. And then optional headsets and headphones. So here's an idea of what you might have in a system. There is 4 network ports on the back of the central unit, so you can have up to 4 chains coming out of it. In this case, we are showing, I'm not quite sure what we're showing, but
we're showing that in addition to the conference units, you can connect our infrared, system, which allows you to transmit to multiple receivers in the room,
okay.
Right?
Yep. Any questions about 5900? All right. So new and exciting is our wireless, and I'm going to quickly go through the slide, and then we're going to boot this up and show you it in action really quickly. So what's great about this is ease of use. This literally is a plug and play that you could take it out of the box and turn it on, and within a couple of minutes you've got a working AV system. And that includes all these benefits. It's got encryption, simple, next to no setup, scalable, up to 125 units. Yeah, that's what we're talking about now. So up to 125 units for one access point. The RF is, the technology does all the frequency coordination for you. If there's any interference, it'll switch to a clean frequency without you having to do anything.
So it hops and figures
Yep.
that out. You don't have to, there's no integration side
Correct.
setup?
It's just like MXW, it's just like Wi-Fi. It is not Wi-Fi. It does operate in the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz
But
band.
MXW does require quite a bit of setup.
Yeah, I would say setup, yeah. There's
Okay.
there's linking your microphones
Yeah.
and all that, correct.
So that's still part of the pairing and all the stuff that goes on in this?
That's what's default out of the box already done for you.
Oh.
Now you can get in there and go, all right, I want these units to be linked to a specific access point and all that.
So then
but-
like one room uses said units and maybe another room has some other units or
Yep.
something like that? Okay.
Or you can make it where the unit boots up and you can have a choice of access points and you can say which one I want to. Yeah, as simple as we're trying to show this product, it has got a ton of features and a ton of configurability to it. We're trying to appeal. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So the batteries are conservatively estimated at 11 hours. That's worst case scenario. So it's more than 11 hours. We've done that on purpose. We've kept it. Some of our competitors have a longer running battery, depending on how you look at their specs. But we've done it on purpose because we have a smaller battery, less expensive. It's included in the cost of the unit. And it's the same technology as, well, again, I'm getting ahead of myself already, as all our other products. So it is, maybe you can buy a couple extra spares if you wanted to, but you really wouldn't have to. And connectivity. We can get in analog as well as digital. We'll come back to that. So here's all the units, or all the components. So the access point, the conference unit, there's a charging bay, and then your choice of microphones that we already kind of went over with DDS. So the access point, again, a single access point controls up to 125. It is in the same spectrum as Wi-Fi, but it's not Wi-Fi. So it automatically does do interference detection and avoidance for you. 128-bit encryption. The analog I/O is actually on the access point itself. It's on the underside there. So for a portable cart scenario, you could just interface with the room AV right on the spot. If not, it's got 10 channels of Dante I/O. The built-in LCD screen gives you access to most of the controls that you need to run a meeting if you're not just happy with the default settings. But you can get to it. Point being, this is a complete system. You don't need to have a laptop. If you did, there is a built-in web GUI, and so simply opening up your web browser and typing the IP address gives you advanced configuration and really just an easier interface, but not necessary. And this is all just like MXA, single category cable. So the unit, what's great about the unit is you buy one unit and it's whatever role you need it to be. You don't have to commit to any particular role and have units sitting on the shelf if you didn't need that particular day, like our competitors. So the current roles are chairman, delegate. There's a listen-only mode, then an ambient mode, and that's when if nobody's talking, that mic will automatically come on so the far end always hears something. The touchscreen display is going to give you simple stats on the meeting and information. Built-in loudspeaker. There is an NFC card slot. I don't know if you've got any experience with using NFC cards, but that's for if you use that, then your name will auto-populate your unit, and others will see that name when you talk. On the back of the
NFC and I think, and no effing clue.
oh, like what it is?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, hopefully we can demonstrate it before you get out of here if we've hopefully got enough time. The card slots on the side, it stands for near field communication, so it actually,
Look at this, you might use them, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah. The reason we have you insert the card is actually a human thing to make sure that you remember to take your card with you and all that, because it's really just near field. If you've ever seen, like the reader, it's just like you just get it near the reader or the configure. So yeah, so there's cards like this, and then there's someone even kind of did a little custom printing on it. There's a TRS jack on the back, as well as a micro USB. The TRS is just like the P300, right? Hook up a phone, and now you can add a remote participant. We'll come back to that. The micro USB is just like MXW. You can keep charging the unit, keep using the unit if the battery was to run low. There is headphone jacks on either side with their own volume control. That is for interpretation and hearing assistance. The reason there's two is because a future upgrade will be a dual delegate mode for these units. And that goes for wired and wireless, so that two people can share one unit. It's not there quite yet. Our legacy products do have it. We're reinventing a better version of it. Charging station, as you can see, up to 10 batteries, giving you the status LEDs. Our batteries are both the charger is smart as well as the batteries. So we're talking about temperature controlled, being able to remote monitor this through a GUI. There is storage mode, both for just keeping your batteries healthy if you're only using this system 4 times a month for that 4 times a year board meeting, or you're traveling and you need to meet requirements. Nice feature there. For rentals and all that, we can get into rack mountable and all that, but you can see it's actually a nice, we've got one in the back of over the room there if you want to check it out. 1.5 hours gives you a half charge and 4 hours for a full charge. The battery, again, our lithium ion technology. No, yes, it is lithium ion, but it's the same batteries that Tesla uses. We just have 3, and Tesla has over 1,000. Right on the unit is a little battery charge indicator, which is nice. And when you do put it in the charging station and use the GUI, you can see the health of the battery. And when you're using the battery in the unit, the conferencing unit, you get hours and minutes, just like with our other current products. We talked about the goosenecks. Didn't point out that it's bicolored LED, which you can switch from green to red depending on whether or not you want to go European or not. If you can see right now, we're doing European with our wired version. If you want to go ahead and press play on your wireless, we've configured that system. Oh, that's also European. I think in the back of the room we've got it green if you want to make it American. These microphones do have a new...
I didn't know there was a color.
It's really, I mean, it's a funny thing because ever since we've gotten into this conferencing thing, like, to us, green always means go, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Products, European, red means go.
So you might just want to... I found in demoing the product that I just switched it to green just to not get derailed talking about it, but...
It's muted or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So for the European version, green actually means request
Well, yeah, and red really means broadcast, right? That's
Right.
where they pulled it from.
on the air.
On the air.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody's right.
I know.
Right, that's true.
So we could call it proprietary, but there is a 10-pin connector on these guys, our new mics, not the legacy mics. And that's because we needed more than 3 pins to get full GSM immunity for both audio and LED. And then there's extra pins for future proofing. Kind of like that. You won't need, but you won't need new hardware if we decide to come up with a new hardware feature. So here's some scenarios. So for structured meetings, if you need chairman control and permissions and speak limits, we got you covered. Participant ID, both with NFC card and also a PIN. Personal pins can be handed out to identify participants. That's what I believe I heard.
With the 6,000 system.
With the 6,000 system. Oh yeah, we are talking about MXCW. Thank you. So for that meeting that moves around from room to room or even building to building, or just a multi-purpose room, right? Reconfigurable space. This is what's great about our wireless version. You can still get multiple participants all from one unit, like I said, up to 125. We talked about the interference detection and the connectivity to the room's AV, including if you wanted to do conferencing. This is a portable AV system too. If you someone talked about, there was a meeting and they said they didn't need anything, and all of a sudden 15 minutes before the meeting, they were like, we need something. You could set this up in 15 minutes. Bring that into your PC or laptop, go to a soft codec, or even a hard codec for that matter, and you could have a conferencing system like that. Another interesting application is historic venues. I think of churches when I think of you, and you can't run cable. This is a great solution for that. Also, another solution for rooms that are just acoustically so horrible that you're not going to have voice lift, or even being able to hear the far end could be a chore if you're using in the speaker seats, in the ceiling speakers. So here's everything kind of hooked up. We show the access point going to a switch, but actually, again, because this is a complete system, you could just have that be a power injector. You just need to get PoE to that access point. But if you did want to be able to get to the GUI on your laptop, put it on a switch. Bring in external microphones, whether it's wireless or we were just discussing maybe even MXA would be part of this. You could bring that in, whether you do.
If you plug a microphone into the access point, you have gain control, all that from the GUI or somewhere on there?
Yep, from the access point would give you control of that, and then of course the GUI. What's great though is by default that's already wired right into your speaker, and the floor microphones are all wired, connected to the analog output. So hook that up to some powered speakers, and boom, you've got an instant AV system with no configuration. That remote participation mode, told you that's not here yet, but it will be coming. Again, anything we're saying that's coming in the future is a free firmware update. But the same idea as the P300, where just call somebody, they take over the unit, and now their phone is now the mic and speaker on their end, but we can hear them in the room through the unit. Another interesting idea with this wireless version is being able to simply give an audio feed to a press feed just by using the headphone outputs, or hook it up to a speaker for an overflow room. Again, can be done on the fly. That's pretty cool. So the GUI, that at another demo with you, I would love to explore more, but just to give you a quick overview of that web browser GUI, you have 3 different views that you can get into, and it's also 3 different levels of access. So these can be password protected, so that you can have people see but not touch, or get full use of it. But the wireless technology, this is what's cool. And again, I don't know if we'll have time today, but there is 2 radios in this guy. One that's always scanning the airways to find clean frequencies, and then the other one used for the system. To have the system get up and running right away, it uses the 5 gigahertz. In particular, it might use 2.4 if necessary, but that's kind of the last resort. That's what we mean by tertiary. And then as soon as it can, it goes to these frequencies that are in the Wi-Fi spectrum, but that are used by radar systems, for aviation in particular, that are unlicensed, but you've got to follow rules to use them, and our competitors aren't following the rules. So we've built that into our technology. It's got to scan those frequencies for a minute, make sure no one else is using them, and then you're free to use them. So we end up with all of this clean spectrum. Even I've been doing demos right near an airport where, here, it looks like this. This is what the spectrum looks like in the GUI. If you can see, where's my thing right there? 2.4, that's pretty much always looks like that no matter where I've been. Even the 5 gigahertz non-DFS channels are used. Orange is okay, by the way. The technology is using time slots, right? It's a multiplexed system. So sure, you're just sharing those frequencies with others there. Green means just good to go. And usually, if you can find at least one channel, you've got a totally robust. I don't even mean one green, even one orange, even red you can operate on. So the point is, you can feel secure using the same spectrum as Wi-Fi. And again, in another demo, I can demonstrate that in action. With that, it'll switch frequencies too without any dropout. It's really nice. And our live demo is simply what you've already done. We're just going to fire it up, and I don't know if anyone else has got a unit fired up. But I'll just have you hear it really quickly, and then we kind of need to move on. Any questions about Microflex Wireless Complete? Microflex Complete Wireless? I don't know if you noticed when you did turn it on, it booted up in a matter of minutes.
What's the dot?
I can't see that on the screen, but I'm thinking.
So that's a multifunction button. So right now it's configured to be a mute, but if you use the unit as a dual delegate, for example, that could be delegate number 1 and the one delegate number 2, so that is proper. Your name is
so you can
proper
toggle.
display,
Yep.
etc. It can also be request to speak. Well,
It could also be just removed completely and one big button put in there to remove any confusion. There have been a couple instances where folks just, I want to use a southern term, I want to mash the button, any of it,
That's
just
great.
have it work.
I've heard people who even said that there's too much on the screen right now, even where all it's showing you is who's talking. They're like, I don't want anyone to feel intimidated by this. So with that said, it's a very clean screen. That's intentional. Controls for interpretation or hearing assistance, again, only become an option on the screen after you've plugged in headphones. So again, just to keep the screen uncluttered. But keep that in mind if you ever do use the system and you're like, where's the interpretation? You won't see it until you plug in the headphones. There is, there's the settings page here that you see with the gear icon, but there is a tech menu. If you hold in, go to the settings screen first, hold in, click in both headphone jacks, headphone volumes. Click them both, touch the screen, touch the right side of the screen. Are you getting into the secret tech menu? I'm not either. Anthony? All right. Anyway, I have a feeling that that's probably been disabled, but that's where you can turn this unit into whatever kind of mode you want it to be, chairman, delegate, right from the unit itself. And a couple other, being able to choose what access point that we talked about. So you can do that right from the delegate
You
unit.
have to be on the settings menu.
Yeah.
Settings, and you touch the screen on the right side.
Yeah, you have to touch on the right side.
Yeah, but I'm here to tell you that's not happening for me.
Well, we disabled yours.
Aha, intentionally. Any other questions on MXCW? All right. Well, I want to move on to then our, you want to take a look at pricing really quick?
And you said the batteries are included with the transceiver.
Correct. But the batteries are also, part of that design was to make them actually inexpensive. So compared to our competitors, our batteries are much less. So if you wanted to buy a couple extra batteries.
What are the battery costs? Any idea?
Lewis?
$120 is list.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Also, I was going to talk about the 11-hour time, Scott. So they last 11 hours, that's like talk time.
Right.
When other companies say that their batteries last 15 or 16 hours, that's like almost like standby time. So
Right.
There's a difference there.
Our 11 hours is fully burdened. It'll last 11 hours. So I don't know if we're going to throw out, how long does the battery typically last? I don't know, but.
So it typically is about 11 and a half. But when you compare to companies that said it's 15 or 16, theirs don't really last that long. It lasts, 9 to 10 hours once you start using the unit.
Gotcha.
And then what if like 1,000 cycles, then you have to start thinking about replacing the batteries, or what's?
These actually are
Yeah.
really good about that. 1,000 cycles will probably get you down to about 90% health.
Okay.
So instead of 11 hours, it might last you 10 hours.
Yeah, I believe I think I even saw 2,000 cycles to get you to 80. So this is more than MXW. So, and I don't know if your experience with MXW has been, but those last years, right? All right, Microflex Complete. So now we're back to the wired version, right? So this guy right here. So there's kind of a look at all the components, including the name sign. Very exciting. Yeah. So we're going to get to that. So here's all the components. We talked about our legacy products, right? That's what you're seeing there on the left, or this whole page, actually. So these, you still can use these. There's just features with our new system that, of course, don't apply to the legacy. So here's the new products. Again, these still all use the same central unit, right? And you can mix and match. So there's a bunch of the components there. We're kind of going to go over those in particular here. Let's start with the central control unit. This is expandable to 38,000 participants. So again, this whole system is scalable. We'll kind of try to point out what comes with the basic version and then what you can grow to. But the one CCU has it all. You get this expandability purely through either feature licenses about hardware features or software licenses for software features. So 4 units, interpretations comes basically, just comes stock in the unit. If you needed more than 4, that's where you would do a feature license to increase that. Of course, there's a built-in web server in the back of the unit, which you can see if you'd like to, 8 analog outs and 2 ins. This on its own will power up to 50 units. For more than that, you just start getting into some of the components that we'll take a look at for extra power. And there is, as I mentioned with DDS, a redundant cabling option for redundancy of the central unit. If you want to use this as a 6,000 legacy unit or for our new Microflex Complete product, it does require a feature license. When you buy a CCU as is, that means 5,900, right? But then with the feature license, you then get the MXC. Does that make sense? Here's all the features that come with the different form factors for Microflex Complete. So really your options there are just whether or not you want to have 5-button voting or a touchscreen. The flush mount units, again, whether or not you want 5-button voting or not. The modular units come in these 2 flavors on the left there. They connect to the MXC MIU on the right. So that can have up to 2 of those modular units connected to it. We kind of saw that with DDS earlier. This does not have a speaker-only version, but it does have what you see there. And it connects with an HDMI cable. It's just being used as an analog cable. It's not. It's not HDMI.
The one that's just the microphone, does that still have like a headphone port, or what's the intent of that?
I'll let Louis field this.
Okay, so these don't have any interpretation. These are just the basic conference units. The conference unit is actually the box, and those are kind of like the front plate. They're designed for like shallow installations where you don't have a lot of space on the table for the full unit. But yeah, this is just basic. The one on the left, the FS, S for small, just had like request to speak or mute and speak button, and the other one has a built-in loudspeaker.
So if the chairman had control, then he would be allowing that microphone?
Could be, yeah.
Well, with the one on the left, you'd have to use the analog out of the central unit to feed like an in-room ceiling system. Yeah, there's no speaker with that one.
That doesn't have the attachment. That's really
Right.
what's going with that.
Right.
All right.
Oftentimes that gets put in a lectern or some other place where,
Right, that would make sense.
yeah.
Right. Our interpretation unit is totally unique. I believe we're the only ones that meet the ISO standard, and that's a big deal. And interpreters are a fussy bunch, I've been told over and over again. So this thing does it all. Let me know if you'd like to know more about this, but this is pretty amazing and can really make interpreters very happy. We already talked about the microphone options, same choices here. I don't believe there's anything different offering or anything different about MicroFlex Complete. The name sign. So this is awesome. This is called e-paper, and once you've set it to something, it doesn't need to be powered. It stays that way. So if you look in the back of the room, I mean, I don't know if that's wired up or not, but Neil put it there for you. If you unplugged it, it would still say that. It's plugged into our demo today.
Shows up.
We're waiting. So it's wired up in our system because you'll see in our demo when we go to do a meeting that they will populate with people's names. And in the future, there's going to be a USB software package for it and connectivity so that you can not only write names, but you can actually import images and do this all without needing an MXC system. I mean, you could just sell name signs coming in the future and all that. But this is very exciting for on many levels. So currently, right now, though, it's programmable with our Software 6000 or our central through the web GUI through our central unit, and it is single or dual participant capable. And there's also a front and a back to it. And like I said, retains the image when disconnected. Just to repeat about our proprietary cables. Required, and there's the lengths that we sell it in.
$10 a foot?
20.
So to talk about those hardware options, if you just get the unit, you get 250 units stock. You do need the feature license to make that CCU a 6000 system, right? An MXC system. If you'd like more, get that feature license, the -3800, and now you can get up to 38 participants. It doesn't power that many, but you can have that many seats. And then interpretation options are whether or not you want more than the 4 that comes standard. So if you want up to 8, up to 16, or 31, and you'll know that when you know what your requirements are. So the GUI is browser-based, and you'll see a little, no, you won't see that today, but pretty intuitive. Software 6000 is if you need additional capabilities. You don't have to buy it, but let's talk about some of the reasons why you might. And we'll see this in action today. That's what we're going to do next. Just historically to let you know, here's all the different things you might want. It used to be a gazillion SKUs, and we have simplified that now just to 8 SKUs that you see over on the right. And I'm going to go over that. So when you buy 6000, and this is something that you buy, it does include some applications that, again, you'll see in action in a little while now. An administration application handles meeting and agenda setup, but that's included. And then the user application gives you meeting control, like on a laptop in front of the chairman. That's what you're going to see today. Again, that's included. And there's all the things you can do with that software over there on the right. Again, maybe if there's time, we can review that if you're interested. If you need additional computers running these applications, you can buy additional admin applications or user applications. And if you would like to display things on the display, like agenda or voting results and all that, you can buy a license for that. And that is, when you buy that software, you get up to 16 additional, I shouldn't say additional because the standard doesn't come with the CDA, the display option. Though I suppose you could just drag your GUI onto a screen, but it doesn't give you the same capabilities. If you would like to record your voting, because the unit comes with voting, then there's an add-on for that. There's an add-on for advanced features. So if you need up to 50 of those, that's the one. If you need even more than that, there's an additional. And then for API control screening, there's another one. So that's all the additional SKUs. Again, we can get into that when you know what your application is, but just know that this system is scalable. These are options. And then here's an example. The cabling on the left is DCS LAN. The cabling on the right is Ethernet. So mix and match as needed. How do we know how much you can put on a chain? That's where we have, I'm going to skip ahead, I guess I'm not. We have a calculator that helps you figure out how much you can put on each of your chains. So here's some applications. City Council, if you need to know who participants are and you want to follow an agenda, we can do that with the NFC card that's built in and the Software 6000 software. And if you do need to record the voting, then you need to buy that optional software. For an international conference, we might need more interpretation. So let's get that feature license that gives you the hardware capability of doing more than 4. We're going to go up to 31 in this case, and we're going to do agenda and voting, part of the basic software package, but I want to have a display. All right, I need to buy that option. For boardroom, I need identification with the NFC card, that's built in. Basic voting, that's built in to the actual hardware, and so is one channel of interpretation. I don't need to even get Software 6000 at this point. Just buy the unit. I do need that feature license to turn that unit into an MXC unit, the central unit, but I'm good to go. This was, I was talking about, a calculator to help you figure out all your different cable runs and all that. And let me know if you need to know more about that. Just know that that is on the web at DCS LAN there down at the bottom, and that can help you design a system and kind of know what you're in for. Because there's, besides these basic components, there's a bunch of accessories, you know, for looping and power and et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of individual prices. I don't know if you can take that all in. So, and there's the map for the feature licenses and software. But here's just an example. So if we had 24 units and we didn't need, what's the one on the right or on the bottom, including?
Basic software 6000.
Oh, with and without the software package.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. All right, we need to move on because we want to do our little demo for you.
We're up. Cue the house lights.
So we're gonna, I think one of the things that we find here in the U.S. is specifically like city councils and things like that they're just shouting and they're raising their hands. A lot of times you may not even be aware of this, that it's out there. They've done it this way because city clerk's been hired for the past 30 years. And yeah, we are not paid actors. There is a script.
We're unpaid,
Yes, Spanish
untrained.
shrimp here. I'd like to complain about my parking conditions
Perfect.
and the zoning in my parking.
Clerk, put that on the agenda, please.
So we got to run a little bit of stuff here to get reset.
First time I did one of those systems was the Village of Oak Park, and when we finished, you know, I was all excited about the cable access. We were gonna log in and watch what this was, and it was just listening to old ladies come in.
Oh, that seems really easy. How do you guys know how to do that?
We went to the training.
Training. La-ti-da. I didn't know that those things were very useful anymore. I just thought they were paid vacation time. What I was trying to say is, you know, Counselor Rabbit, thank you for that interpretive dance that you did to the Pledge of Allegiance. That was very entertaining. So with that, I guess we'll just move right on to our agenda.
All right, let's get started with the
Mm.
first
He-
agenda. Oh, wow.
You ever hear councilmen should be seen and not heard?
Yes, from
How,
you.
how did your mic get turned on?
Through the software, I'm able to activate mics.
It's a little too much it's a little too much power there, Mr. Mouse. I don't know if I like that. Anyway,
All right, shall we move on?
I would
to
like to
the,
do that. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So,
You
for
really do have a
today-
lovely voice,
Oh,
though. I
thank
meant to tell you
Really?
that.
Oh, thanks.
You should sign up for one of those TV show talent things.
My mother said that to me. Thanks. Today is public comments and then a vote on Proposal 617, which reads, "No person shall attempt to sell pickles that do not bounce when dropped from 1 foot and are therefore unfit for human consumption."
You know, it's true. It's most unfortunate that there seems to be an epidemic of pickle wrestlers out there. I myself had bought a bad batch of pickles just the other day. I bit into one and it didn't crunch. Can you believe that? A pickle that doesn't crunch?
Wow.
It's terrible.
It really is. If you're done now, we'd like to open the floor for a discussion.
Oh, oops. I must have turned your mic on. Sorry about that, Mr. Billy Goat. You need some coffee?
Oh, no, I'm fine, thank you.
I got a Cuban connection that can hook us up with really good coffee.
I'll go find him afterwards. I apologize.
All right.
You were going on a bit, though.
Sorry about that. I guess I'm not nursing a hangover like you are right now.
All right. Is there any public discussion on 617? For the love of God, let's keep moving.
Actually, thank you, Mayor. I've got a more serious matter to discuss today, and I think I might be able to do it in 2 words.
Well, that's great. Brief, pithy, to the point. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Actually, the timer's already running. It activated as soon as he started talking. You can see it on the display there.
Oh, that's fancy.
Oh, great. Well, now that I'm down to 5 seconds, I guess I'll just say 2 words. Food freedom.
Wow, that was very brief and pithy, just the way I like it. You know, what the heck does food freedom mean anyway? Does that mean like food should be free, or should it be free to eat, or what?
I'm not sure, sir, but is there any more discussion on this, or can we just do a vote?
I think we should just move on with a vote. All right.
City Clerk, please start the vote.
Those in favor say aye.
Hang on. There's no need for a verbal vote. Participants can use the touch screen in front of them. Just tap the touch screen and let us know your vote.
Wow. More buttons. What should I do?
Choose either yes, no, or abstain.
Oh, man. It's too simple. Yes. Are we, looks like the yeas have it. Okie dokie. Can't get any easier than that. So yes, a pickle should be crunchy. It's American way, by God. Really, Councilman number 2? You voted no?
Well, you know, I don't like the thought of eating a pickle that's been on the floor.
Vote's private.
I'm sure they will clean it off first. But how about, you know, we just add a note to the proposal and we'll put that down, okay? You still a nay?
Nah.
Thank you, Councilor Goat.
It's more sheep than goat, sorry. Yeah.
Boy, that hanger really is something hard to nurse right now, isn't it? All right.
Well, you're going to announce who won?
Yeah, who won, City Clerk?
The ayes have the vote. Proposal 617 passes.
Awesome.
Are we ready to move on?
I hope so.
Let's please, yes. 618, proposal, which reads, it is hereby deemed a felony and therefore illegal for anyone to knowingly poach a Sasquatch in the county with a fine of $1,000 and up to a year in jail. We again open the floor for public discussion.
With all due respect there, Counselor, this is completely unnecessary and would further hurt this community economically. I'm a hunter, and I know we get lots of curious folks walking around these woods looking for that Sasquatch. And yeah, they're heavily armed, but it's only for their personal protection. If someone ever did find that hairy beast, they could, try and get a good picture and get their arms ripped right off. And besides, the money you'd get for killing that Sasquatch would be way more than that $1,000 fine. So I don't think it would stop people anyway.
All righty.
It's an interesting point of view from our armed friend. But they are.
Is there any other comments? Okay.
I'm a animal activist, and thank you, Council, for taking this important proposal to a vote. It's so very important that we protect our endangered species. Sasquatch are notoriously shy and just want to be left alone. I personally think all cryptozoologists should be banned from the county, but this proposal is a step in the right direction.
Well, all righty then. Is there anyone else? No. Okay, good. Time for the vote.
Participants?
Oh, this is getting easy. Mr. Goat, are you serious? What's with you today?
Sasquatch. Thank you. Sasquatch doesn't exist.
Well, that's a matter of your opinion.
Well, look, actually, after decades, centuries even, no evidence of such a creature.
I'm done with you. It's actually after decades and centuries, I'm tired of hearing you talk. I'm glad that's all settled and common sense has won the day. Is there anything else on our agenda, City Council Clerk, Mr. Mouse?
No.
All righty then. I guess we'll just adjourn this meeting.
This meeting has been streaming live, but I'll make sure a recording of the votes is posted online soon.
All right, thank you, everyone. That concludes the meeting. And scene.
The floor plan that you had up there, is that part of the software, Scott? That when that came up there, you could see which microphone?
We can't hear you. You need to. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, that.
If I can figure this out. Oh, you're already there. I can turn off your mic.
I was on.
It's like
Off. There I am.
It's like a game of whack-a-mole. You turn it on, he turns it off.
So this is in that mode. Okay.
We can import a graphic into there for any layouts. And it just
Yeah.
means, obviously, you drop the dots in rough microphone positions.
Okay.
At the moment, we're running it in. As soon as you click on it, turns either the mic on or off. But if we did it in a different mode, you could then play with the attenuation on a mic.
Okay.
There's actually a mic attenuation further down on that list, Scott. If you could click on that one as well, please. So same layout, but if you click on one of any particular mic now, so click on me, we can bring the microphone
Okay.
attenuation up and down individually and individual loudspeaker. So if you've got different, if someone's really riding the microphone, we can take it down. If you've got someone who's determined not to use a microphone properly like this, you can try and bring it up as much as possible.
Or you can use our new shotgun mic.
There's a feature. There's
Yeah.
a feature in the software to prevent what happened just now, that she turns it on and he turns it off.
Correct.
Like that.
Yeah.
So you can put a delay there of like 3 seconds, so that you cannot. Once you turn it on, within 3 seconds you can't turn it back
You're
off.
fighting it, yeah.
Yeah, because we've had in Rental World in particular, depending on the type of event, if it's say a Davos style with a conversation at the beginning and then people are sort of putting into the list,
Right.
we found regularly that people would be sat there like that, and suddenly the chairman calls them forward, or chairman is like, oh, and the first thing to do is to go for the mic.
Right.
If someone's just turned you on and you hit it again, so as Lewis said, we can time that out. You can do it. The delegates simply can't turn themselves off at all; they have no control. or they can be after a certain amount of time, and we can play with that.
Okay.
It's like trying to unlock a car door.
Ben, did you have something? You were in the request to speak mode, so I turned you on.
No, I'm good.
All right, then we're gonna kill you.
Yes, name signs obviously links to the seats that they're associated with. So,
Will this work now?
if you, yeah, okay. So start the NFC enabled meeting, please.
There we go. And if I take this, now you'll notice none of your units work, right? Table, right?
Check, check.
I see.
Yep.
And this is considered a security feature, right? Because no one can log in to both the meeting
Right.
as well as the software recording of the meeting until they enter their password.
It's a security feature. Also means that if you don't want to have people in specific places, they can come in, sit anywhere they want, and you still know who wants to ask the questions.
It's a security issue if you're Chris Neiman walking around as Ben Cook, though.
That's right.
Well, we're hoping it gets him arrested.
That was actually his hotel key. Is there any other questions or thoughts?
Apart from please don't move into acting.
Yeah. Oh, every bit of that actually was real. When we wrote that script, it was like, oh, we got to come up with something stupid or funny, and then you Google, and guess what? There's no lack of dumb laws that have been hashed out.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Were they from like Cheyenne? Like,
the,
it sounded very.
The-
He does live in, Wyoming, so.
the pickle, believe it or not, Kevin, the Sasquatch thing was about Texas and Washington.
Got it. Got it.
The pickle thing was Connecticut. All right, guys. Thank you for coming.
want you to see. Start with the 5900 series discussion system. Then we're going to work our way through the wireless discussion system, and then we're going to move into the MXC conferencing system. So what is the 5900 series? It really is an excellent sound quality, fast and easy setup for discussion meetings as opposed to a conference. There's very few components, and there is a multi-language operation available. As I mentioned, there is very few components to it. It really makes up, there's 3 components that kind of make up the entire line. The central unit is the DDS 5900 CCU control unit here. It is the same unit that's used in our other systems. It just has a different feature license on it. It is the main power source for the discussion units, and all of the units are connected daisy chain. So it also auto mixes all the signals, and includes, you know, all your various submixes and groups can be set up through that unit. It's also the interface for external systems like room control, and all of those additional external PAs, recording devices, that kind of thing. You can power up to 60 of the 5900 series units off of one CCU, and then you can do up to 250 delegate units if you add more power supplies. This all uses our proprietary DCS LAN. It is a slightly different protocol between the 2 systems, but essentially it's the same. It is not Ethernet. Keep that in mind. You cannot just use standard Ethernet cables. You do need to use DCS LAN cables. Another core component here is the browser-based interface on the 5900 series. That gives you the ability to assign your seats, your operation modes for microphone control. Gives you your mic on and off, your speaker lists, and your request lists. So now we're going to go through the core components. The main delegate unit is the 5980. So I do like the touch button technology as opposed to buttons you don't touch, but it is touch button technology. You do have you have one speak and request button with the LED, which is red or green. Red for speak, green for request to speak. In the 5900 series, that is not selectable. I know all of our American friends feel that's backwards, but you do need to think of it as red is hot, you're live, right? And I think that pushes back to the old recording studio days of when the red light was on, you knew you were live, so be careful what you say, right? Whereas green is request to speak. This also has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack with volume control for assisted listening. Your channel selector with your LED indicator, your lockable XLR microphone input, and integrated loudspeakers built into it. And then you've got your 2 DCS LAN connectors with auto termination. Auto termination means that if it's the last one in the route, it's the last one in the connection, that it terminates the DCS LAN for you. You don't need to do anything else. It consists of 2 flush mount units and 1 portable unit. And the portable unit can be set up as a chairman, an interpreter, and then a delegate with either speak and mute or just speak. And these are different overlays that you can order and basically transform the product from one to the other by putting the new overlay onto it. The 5900 series flush mount conference unit is automatically configured as a chairman or a delegate, depending on which faceplate and button overlay you use. Those have to be purchased as well. Used in conjunction with that is the faceplate options. So you've got 2 choices here. The 5921 is the smaller unit on the left, and that's for speech only. The 5981F on the wider unit can be used for speech or interpretation, and that gives you the channel selection to choose which language you're going to listen to. Again, there's 3 overlays for each flush mount faceplate, and that automatically configures what that unit's going to be when the overlays are installed, whether it be a chairman, a delegate, or a delegate with mute. The goosenecks are the last component. There is 4 options available in this model. They're all GM part numbers. And I've blown up the shotgun mic there on the right. That is not to scale. That is to show off our new shotgun mics that are in front of you here. So don't worry, it's not a 4-foot-long microphone. And this is brand new, just started shipping in the last week or so. So we were very happy to see them when we walked in the door this week. I did mention earlier the DCS LAN. This is a proprietary cable. It's required for all of these systems. It's available in 9 different lengths from 2 feet to 150 feet. The reason now we've kind of changed the verbiage on this, we used to say that we highly recommended that you use our cables. We're now saying it's required, because out of every instance of failure that we've had over the years, it's always the cables. It's never the actual product, okay? And the easiest way to fix that is to use our cables that are tested individually, and we know they meet our specifications. As opposed to ordering online, maybe from overseas. They'll say they meet our spec. Chances are they don't. If you were just doing data on these, you'd probably get away with it. This has data and power, and it's the power that is the issue, right? You can be putting 125 watts down the line. If you've got a really cheap cable, you're going to know quickly when your whole system starts blinking. So
you guys don't sell any bulk cable?
We do not. Now, what we do recommend, and I go into it a little bit later with the other system, is that if you're doing an installed run where you've got to go through conduit, you can't be pulling already terminated cables through. We do have the specifications for the cable for you to use, but we would require that you terminate female to female and then plug in our patch cables at the end of the run, right? So that you're not going directly into our units with a handmade cable. Okay. We do have a full line of additional accessories.
Or is there a way with a regular testing rig? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can give you all the pin configurations and everything so that you would know, what to do. So, and that's all in a white paper that we have. There's a whole bunch of other accessories available in this line. We don't really have time to go through them one by one, but I'll let you know. There's signal repeaters, there's splitters, there's power inserters. There's DCS LAN switchers, audio output units, and then redundant controllers. If let's say you've got a application at the UN where it is absolutely, you cannot fail no matter what, you're going to put in 2 CCUs, right? And then if one fails, the other one would automatically switch in, and it would be seamless. Very seldomly is it required, but it's an option. You've also got your headphone accessories, stereo headphones, interpreter headsets, your stethoscope headphones. That's for when you've got someone who has a head covering or a hairstyle and you don't want to, disturb their freshly coiffed hair. You can go under the chin. And then your earphone clip where you want to be able to hear the floor as well as the interpreted language. This gives you an idea of a system that's connected. I am showing here the digital transmitter with the IR radiator. That's still a part of the DCS line. It's still available, and it still gets requested fairly frequently. So just keep that in mind, that there are a ton of other things to go with it, and we can provide you all of the documentation to look at those should the need arise. Any questions?
It's two-way though?
No, the IR is one way.
It is.
It's an output only. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on that one? And again, guys, I know I'm breezing through quick, so if I'm going too fast, don't worry. You can stop me, and we'll have a chat. Okay, I'm going to move on to the new system, the Microflex Complete Wireless from Shure. You'll see these units in front of us here. This is an integrated wireless audio system. I'll give you the official pitch. It delivers natural, intelligible sound and adds structure that can make discussions more focused and productive. Best part of it all is it's super easy to set up. The 6 key features: it's secure, it's got AES encryption, it's got a very simple setup, it's just power on and go, it's scalable. You can do up to 125 of these wireless units with one access point. It's got self-managed RF, so it's got automatic interference detection and avoidance, so it scans the environment, makes sure that it's clean, and will move if anything's going on. It'll move to a new frequency, and you don't have to touch anything. The units themselves have an extended runtime of 11 hours under stress. In standby, it's way more, 12, 13, 14 hours if they're just sitting there doing nothing. And it's interoperable. You've got analog and digital outputs on the access point, just to make things quick and easy to set up. This is the entire package here, with the addition of the shotgun microphone as well. That is new to the line. So let's go through the pieces one by one. This is the access point that I mentioned. It'll control up to 125 units. It's 5 gig and 2.4 gig. That is the Wi-Fi spectrum, but we are not a Wi-Fi product. We just happen to be using the same areas that Wi-Fi uses. We're going to go into that a little bit later about how that's different. Has interference detection and avoidance, 128-bit encryption. I mentioned earlier it's got 1 analog in and out. It's got 10 Dante ins and outs for digital transmission. Your built-in LCD on the front will allow you to configure most settings. So one of the things they stressed with this product when it was released was that, as it was a kind of a European started piece, a lot of times over there they're going to have the tea lady who would come in the afternoon and set up their tea, put out the crumpets, have the tea ready, away you go. They're going to have her set this up, right? They wanted to make it simple enough that you can roll this out on a cart, plug in your access point just to a switcher that has PoE, turn on your units, and you can start your meeting. And we really have accomplished that. We're going to fire it up in a few minutes, and you'll see how quickly it works. All of this is done with a single network connection. It's just PoE, and that gives you your Dante audio and your control all over one wire. The MXC W640 is the delegate unit in front of you there. These can be set up 4 ways, either as a chairman, a delegate, a listener, or an ambient. If you're not familiar with them, the chairman is the one running the meeting. The delegate is a participant. A listener would be perhaps in another room and just listening to the meeting. And then an ambient microphone you would set up if you're sending the audio from the meeting to an outside source and you don't want them to think that the meeting has been cut off because there's no audio. You would leave an ambient mic in the room and it's going to always give you that room noise. So they know they're connected. They know they're hearing the room. It's got the touchscreen display built in that gives you your configuration, control, and all your meeting information. Loudspeakers built in. Cool new feature is the NFC card slots on the side that allow for participant identification. It's got a micro USB on the back for external charging. If you're having a marathon 16-hour meeting and your units are starting to die or get close to the end of their life, you can either hot swap the batteries. It takes 1 minute to recycle and go back onto the network, or you can plug a micro USB in from any wall wart and it'll keep the machine running. It trickle charges the battery. It's got a TRRS input on the back that I'm going to go into a little later what that's for, and then dual headphone jacks with volume controls on the side for listening to things other than the floor audio or assisted listening. The charging station here, we have 2 at the back. They'll accommodate up to 10 batteries. They've got your 5 LED indicators to show battery life. The power supply is built in, so you don't have a big brick hanging off of it. It does give you network remote monitoring, so you can go into the GUI and see the status and health of all the batteries. It's got storage mode for safe transport. You can put all your batteries in and just click storage, and it'll discharge them down to about 35 or 40%, which makes them easily transportable. It's an hour and a half for a 50% charge, or 4 hours for 100%. The battery it uses is a 3-cell lithium ion, the same as what is in Teslas, just not 1,000. Keep in mind the battery is included. When you order a 640, you do not have to order a battery. They come separate. There really is no need to order a spare for each unit because they will just sit there. It's money better spent elsewhere. And these have a long cycle life, a few thousand cycles before you're going to start to see much degradation. So, and then it's got the integrated battery status as well, so you can hit the LEDs and it'll show you the estimated life. Another neat feature too, if they were off and the batteries are in, there is a viewing window on the bottom of the 640 unit so you can see those LEDs as well without taking the battery out. So now you've got your gooseneck microphone options. There's 16 or 20 inch in dual flex or single flex. Single flex is flexible at the base only, while dual flex is flexible at the base and the tip. Cardioid polar pattern, but you can swap out the capsules for any MX capsule if you wanted an Omni or a super cardioid, anything like that. It's got a bicolored LED, which is selectable. You can change it from red to speak to green to speak. In the GUI, you can just switch that over. Locking 10-pin connector is proprietary at Shure, and it's got CommShield technology, which makes it RF immune, so you're not going to be getting any noise from nearby mobile devices or phones that are sitting on the table. So what are the applications here? If you're going to have a structured meeting where you've got chairman control and permissions and speak limits, all that stuff, you've got the option for a quick participant ID. You can slap in your NFC card. For a flex space, you've got multiple participant roles. Again, you can select one as a chairman or 2 or 3, depending on who's running the meeting. It's got your automatic interference and detection and avoidance to stay away from any frequencies that are crowded or are going to give you any interference. And then you could come out of the analog output of the access point into the house system to give you some sound reinforcement. For a historic venue, you've got just one cable, so you can roll this in, set it up temporarily, and pull it out, and it gives you your microphone and your sound reinforcement in one package. You don't have to roll out any other equipment. Real quick and easy. Let's just give you a quick idea of a standard setup where you've got, say, a wireless handheld coming into the access point to give you the ability to perhaps go out into the crowd and ask questions for people that don't have their own individual units. And then that audio would come through the whole system. Then your analog output as well, you could run to, maybe a pair of powered loudspeakers to allow for sound reinforcement in the room. Remote participant is coming. It's with that TRRS input on the back. If you were late for the meeting, I'd be able to call you and then plug my phone into one of these units, and now that's you. So you would own this unit. You're going to hear the meeting at the far end on your phone, and then we're going to hear you through the entire meeting as you speak into your phone. The only drawback with that is we're requiring on the person who's late to mute their microphone. We can't mute them unless you completely turn them off. Okay? So you're requiring them to be responsible, which can be interesting, but. Another option would be the two headphone outputs on the units. You could run a wireless press feed for an overflow room. Rather than running any additional equipment, take one of these units, set it in the additional room with a pair of loudspeakers powered off the side, and you're done. You've got your overflow room covered. And for doing that, I would just remove the microphone, right? And then just take this unit. Now this is just your transmitter. Go set that in the other room, and away you go, right? Quick and easy setup. The access point has 3 different login available. There's admin view, chairman view, or display only, and those just give you different access to the GUI depending on what you're doing, and you can password protect all of those so that if you did have people, you want to send it out with a crew and they only have admin view, you can give them that as opposed to the chairman. I mentioned earlier that it's not Wi-Fi. This runs in the DFS channels, which is where weather radar lives. The rules for that are we have to scan the channel that we're on, and if there's any interference, we have to move immediately. So that access point has 2 scanners in it. One is listening for the channel that we're on, and one is listening for an escape route, essentially. So it's constantly scanning the environment, finding us a safe channel to jump to if our channel gets interfered with, okay? I've been literally 2 kilometers from Toronto Airport, which is an incredibly busy airport, and we're able to get on no problem, no interference, no worries at all. And again, when you turn on the access point, it's within a minute, you're up and passing audio and your meeting is ready to go. This is to give you an idea here. You're gonna have 3 indicators here, red, orange, or green. Red means it's really busy on those channels, but chances are we're still gonna be able to operate there if we needed to. Orange, there's a little bit of sharing going on, but again, we'll be fine. And then green, you can see the DFS there. Green means we are wide open, nobody else is there, we're good to go. So as this works, you'd see a timer underneath each of those channels telling you how long it's been listened to, and then it moves on to the next one. If you're in an environment where, say, channel 36 there, you knew that's the IT department running something, we're going to deselect that channel and it won't even look there anymore. So there's that option as well. So if you guys like, while we're setting up the next PowerPoint, you can go ahead and throw those batteries in. You'll see as soon as they come on and connect to the access point, as soon as your unit flashes green a couple of times, then you're good to go. The reason they're coming on when the batteries are pulled is because they were on when we removed the batteries, and it remembers what state it was in. So as soon as you put the batteries back in, it comes on. Had we turned all those units off and then removed the batteries, it would remember they were off. And you can do that through the GUI, actually. You can go in and select them all and turn them off at the end of a meeting, and it would just shut them all off immediately. And there is your map pricing. So you're looking $3,500 for the access point and about $1,500 per delegate station. And I did mention batteries are included, so there is no need to order spares. I would order 10% spares, just to be sure, but
Is that 10 batteries in the charger there?
up to 10, yep, yep. And those are wall mountable or rack mountable as well. So, or just, we've got one sitting on a table back there. I think that's probably the more standard use case, as it's gonna sit in a cupboard somewhere plugged in when they're not being used.
What kind of speaker is in here?
What kind of speaker?
Yeah, little baby.
I think it's a 2.5 inch, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if we made it ourselves or if we have purchased it from somewhere, but,
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
like, we should be up and running here. And actually, I can show you the difference. I was really surprised with this yesterday. So this is this microphone here. I'm not even sure how many units I'm coming through here.
What do you want to see?
I'm on MXC coming through on this one.
What we've got in the room? 18.
Okay.
MXC, we're hearing you through MXCW, and there's about 10?
Okay. And now you can see here how close I'm in on this microphone.
As soon as we are plugged in, you then have the option to start using it.
So the red one.
Oh, it does show.
Yeah. It's just it keeps the left buttons more or less real estate, so we want to keep this.
So we've got them set right now, I believe, to mute.
That's what comes.
In the future, we will have more functionality built into them, but for now, mute or nothing. Request to speak when it's set up in first in, first out or manual is done with the mic button itself.
Can you turn your microphone on? Your delegate, your chairman unit?
Better? Sorry, excuse me. I guess we should be demoing this thing as I'm talking, shouldn't we?
It just sounds so much better. It's amazing how just that little lift,
Just
really
helps the
makes
room.
it so much more intelligible.
Good.
And it makes it more effortless to pay attention.
Good. Okay. Questions before we move on? You're okay? All right. Next is Microflex Complete. So far, the way I kind of wrap my head around these products is the 5900 series is a discussion system. MXCW, you're blurring the line now between a discussion system and a conference system, right? And then Microflex Complete is the conference system, right? Because of the added functionality and all the different things you can do with the software and the hardware, the scope is much larger. So we're going to go through this fairly quickly, and then we have a little demo at the end to lighten the mood in here. So keep in mind, this product started with DIS, which was Danish Interpretation Systems, that Shure bought 5 or 6 years ago. You can see here, this stuff looks like it belongs in a Russian bunker somewhere. It does have that 1980s James Bond look to it. Now with this new product refresh, the biggest difference is ease of use and quality of the loudspeakers and microphones. The DIS products were not Shure microphones. Microflex Complete is Shure microphones. That's one of the biggest takeaways, is the quality has improved dramatically with the use of our mics. The brains of the unit is the central control unit, again, that we discussed earlier. This allows you to expand the system up to 3,800 participants for one meeting. How often that's going to happen in the real world, I don't know. I know Anthony has worked on couple of 1,000-seat systems?
We did about 1,500 for the UN.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one currently is Malaysia, is 3,200. They never get anything organised between them. It's in the cooks for the profit.
How would you like to run the cables for that system?
Charged by the meter.
Yeah. So this unit provides power for all the connected conference units, handles all the monitoring and control signals, and mixes and processes all the audio and activated microphones. By default, it can control 250 conference units, but it can expand up to 3,800. 4 interpretation channels are built in, but again, it can be expanded up to 31. It does have an embedded web browser base, web browser-based user interface, and then again, that can be expanded to the software 6000, which adds a whole bunch more ability. So in order to use this, though, keep in mind you do need to buy the feature license 6000. That is what turns this unit into an MXC unit. This is the only thing that we really kept from the DIS line. We didn't feel the need to reinvent the wheel, so this is the DIS CCU that with the right feature license will unlock MXC. So you essentially have 3 portable units, a 620, a 630, and a 640. They all have chairman and delegate modes. They all have NFC card capability, and they all have the ability for dual delegate and interpretation. They all have Braille as well for anyone that's got the need. To add 5-button voting, we're going to move up to the MXC 630. The 620 has no voting buttons. And then the 640 allows voting, and then also adds a touchscreen display, which will give you some more control over meeting settings, agendas, and voting. The flush mount units, there's a 620 and a 630. Again, they both share a lot of the same components of the portable units. The 630 adds that capability of voting. Also in this line is the modular units, starting with the MXC MIU. So that conference unit on the right is essentially the brain. It can power up to 2 of the plates on the left. The FS is for flush mount small, that's no loudspeaker. FL is flush mount large, and that has the loudspeaker built in. And then these are connected to the MXC MIU via lockable HDMI cables, and each faceplate comes with a 1-meter lockable cable. The interpretation unit is the only one on the market right now that meets all of the ISO 20109 interpreter certifications. I'm learning as I'm going through this product that interpreters are divas, and a lot of this stuff was demanded by them for ease of use. The big takeaway with this is that they do have the ability to save presets, so an interpreter could put all of their subsettings and all of the way they want that set up on an NFC card, and come in and pop it in later, and it's going to remember all of their presets. I know in the US you don't run into interpretation as much as Europe and Canada, but it's there should you need it. And if you need more information on that, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us about it. We already went over the gooseneck microphones for MXCW. Same for these. It uses the exact same microphones. There's the 16 and 20 inch. They both have the bicolored LED, and then we have the mini shotgun available as well. So another cool part now is the MXC sign. So this is a dual-sided name sign in grayscale. It's essentially works pretty much the same as an Etch-a-Sketch. It's a magnetic paper that's activated by the DCS LAN. It's programmable via the DIS CCU or by software 6000. It does retain the image when it's disconnected, so the only time it uses power is as you're programming it. Once it's programmed, it doesn't use any more power. And it does have a tabletop or a flush mount option. Last in the package is the cables. We mentioned before, these are not network cables, these are not Ethernet cables, these are DCS LAN cables. It is a completely different proprietary bus that Shure uses, and we are now requiring these cables for the use with our systems. And again, they're available in lengths from 2 feet to 150 feet. Keep in mind now, I mentioned it before, the DIS CCU plus the FL6000 makes it an MXC CCU. And that would allow you to use up to 250 units. If you would like to use more than 250 units, you have to add the FL6000 3800 license, and that opens up the system from 251 to 300 to 3800. Interpretation options, again, you can get 8, 16, or 31 channel licenses. The user interface that's built in is browser-based, and it provides basic setup for speech control, all that kind of stuff, for more of a simplified meeting. When you're getting into a more complicated meeting with more delegates and more rules, more speech timer, agenda, all of the formal meeting processes that a lot of parliaments and city councils use, you're going to need to move up to Software 6000 to get all of those capabilities. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but if you look on the left here, those are all the different SKUs you used to have to order when you ordered Software 6000. There was 28 different SKUs, and you had to know that you needed messaging, you needed a conference display app, you needed the ability to vote, and you had to order each one separately. And then you'd go set up your meeting and go, crap, we wanted to stream, I don't have the web interface. You'd have to go back and buy that one SKU and add it to your license. What Sure's done now is taken those 28 SKUs and compressed it into 8. The biggest portion of that is the basic Software 6000 suite, which gives you one conference admin app, which is the administrator app. It's the ability to use the system. And then you've got a user application, which allows you to kind of run a meeting, right? And then all of these things on the right are included in that basic package. You've got your meeting creation, your messaging, all your mic control, your Mimic, which we'll show you later. All of that is included in Software 6000. Your optional Software 6000 add-ons are a conference admin app. You can do up to 8, up to 15 of those. Your user apps, you can do up to 199, and that would be that maybe there's 50 people in City Hall that all need access to this software. So you're going to put a license on each of their machines so they can go in and modify the meeting from their remote location. You got your display application, which is, we're going to show you later. It's going to be what's up on these screens in our meeting. It allows you to display agenda and all of these other options. Software 6000 Vote. You can vote in the standard web-based GUI, but it's a non-recorded vote. If you need to keep a record of that vote and export it, then you need to have the vote option. You also have advanced mic control. I hate these part numbers. Advanced 50, that gives you up to 50 participants having this advanced mic control. The one without any numbers on it, just advanced, is more than 50. So that would be up to your 3,800 participants can have advanced control. And then you've got your API control and streaming as an additional add-on. So this is a quick look at the system, how it would work. So on the left of the screen, you've got your DCS LAN, which is running to all of your various delegate units. You can see there we've got 4 strings running, 4 chains. There are 4 outputs from the DIS-CCU, right? So you could run one of these on each chain. And then on the right side, we've got our Ethernet. So completely separate systems, completely separate control. Who might use this? A city council. So what do they need? They need a participant ID. They need to see who's in the meeting. You can come in, program your NFC card, put it in the slot, they know where you are. You've got your agenda in that meeting. We'd be able to display that through Software 6000. And then we're going to record our votes via Software 6000 as well. For an international conference, let's say we need up to 28, we need 28 channels of interpretation for this meeting. Everyone's coming in from around the world, and we need to speak in Aberdjani and French Canadian and French Creole, and how many other Frenches are there? There's a few more. We can run all of those, up to 31 channels. Agenda and voting would be handled through the Software 6000, and then we can display the agenda on the display app. And then if you're looking at a smaller boardroom, you want to be able to come in and throw in your NFC card to show who's sitting where. We're going to do a quick vote that's not recorded. We can do that via the GUI. And then we need to run English for the floor channel. And our friends from Japan came in, so we're going to run one channel of interpretation so that they can follow along in the meeting. We're going to do that through the MXC system as well. One of the issues with MXC is figuring out how to wire everything together. As I mentioned before, each channel of that DIS-CCU has 125 watt capability. Well, how many does this pull? How many does that unit pull? How much do I lose for cable loss? So how much can I run on that line? In the past, you had to handwrite out your entire system and send it to Denmark, and they would run it through their tool and call you back and say, yeah, that's not going to work. All right. Now we can go to DCS LAN on the Shure website, dcslan.shure.com. You can select your room, build it the way you'd like. You can see there, you've got the cable connections. You can say how long it's going to be between each unit, what units you're going to use, and then it'll tell you if it's going to work, where you need to inject some more power, and where you're going to have any issues. It really makes everything much easier. And there is your pricing. And this is your feature license pricing. So if anybody would like more detail on this, I'm sure you could speak to our friends here in the room or our local rep who would provide you with additional pricing. So to give you a quick idea, if you were looking at a 24-seat room with microphones, you're looking at about $23,000. If you want to add the control of the Software 6000, you're going to add about $3,000 to that system. Good? We're right on time.
6,000 was a power supply?
No, feature license 6000. There are way too many SKUs in this family of products that use 6000 nomenclature.
Okay.
Yeah, but so you can see there's feature license 6000, feature license 6000-3800, feature license dash. So the way to think of it is the software, so anything SW, FL is related to the hardware. So that's your feature licenses that you're going to put on the CCU.
Mm-hmm.
Then the software is a separate package, right? So your feature license, you're unlocking all of the capabilities of that box, whereas the software is your control.
Right.
Okay. So I think we're at the part where we are going to display this system in action. We were tasked with coming up with something to show you how the system works in real time, being a little lighthearted. Please keep in mind that we are not actors by any means.
Well, you might not.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Normally, Chris tells you this at the end. In order to protect the innocent or guilty, names have been changed. However, all of the issues in this mock council meeting we're going to show you
Are very real.
came from real council meetings, and these were real things that were voted on by real city councils. So keep that in mind. Your government dollars at work. So thank you, gentlemen.
That's an entrance right there.
Here I am.
Do you guys come from a background of government or structured meetings in any way? No? A little bit? Okay.
Doug Shirley. Surely you've come across this, or not?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Talking through all this technically advanced stuff and all the capabilities and everything. We thought we would go ahead and show you it in action. And there's a script, and we will try to read from the script as much as possible.
That's the difficult bit, is sticking to that.
We are unpaid.
No judging our acting abilities.
Unpaid and untrained.
Yeah. However, maybe there's some parts that you'll giggle at a little bit. And if not, if nothing else, you can giggle at us. All right.
Set the scene, we're set.
Starting Zoom.
Yeah, let's start this meeting. Display application, excuse me, conference user application that is city clerk is running. This is typical that would happen. City clerk would be running meeting bits and parts. So this is what he's looking at. Over my right shoulder is a CDA application. So that's the conference display application. You'll see information pop up there from time to time about agenda items and so forth. You can watch that, see what happens as we move along. And then over my left shoulder, we've actually integrated, just for demonstration purposes, a 3-camera shoot. This is a One Beyond system, and it tends to integrate nicely with our stuff. They've done a lot of work to make it easy, but this is going to do automatic switching and tracking based on microphone usage and who's talking when, yeah? All right, Billy Goat, I guess you want to talk. It's a double click.
Get your fat fingers working. Thank you, sorry. Just quickly on that one, you will see there's some latency because we're in a live environment. We are not video engineers, so we haven't set that up properly. That can be handled a wee bit, so there will be a slight delay from live to what's going on up there before someone asks.
This is actually hilarious. We haven't even started our script yet, and it's already...
We've already gone off script.
Off script, yeah.
Excellent, sorry. That's
That's it? All right, that's pretty simple. That's pretty fancy schmancy. How'd you know how to do that?
I went to the training.
La-ti-da. Those things are useful, huh? Thought it was just paid vacation time, pretty much. What I really wanted to say, though, was thank you, Michael, for that great interpretive dance you did during our national anthem. That was very nice and moving.
Well, I do appreciate.
That's awesome. Your mic's not on.
Yeah.
You ever hear? Wait, it turned on. How did that happen?
I don't know. Apparently, I don't have control over here.
Through the software, I'm able to turn mics on and off, as well as the chairman.
Yeah, that's a little too much power for you, isn't it, Mr. Clerk or Mr. Mouse?
He did have to explain how to turn your unit on, sir. Shall we get down to business?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Anyway, our first agenda item for today is the public comment and then vote of Proposal 617, which reads, "No person shall attempt to sell pickles that do not bounce when dropped from 1 foot and are therefore unfit for human consumption."
It's true, unfortunately, there's been an epidemic of pickle rustlers here lately. I just bought a jar of pickles the other day and found out that it was phony. They were phony. The pickles didn't even crunch. No crunch on them pickles whatsoever.
Wow. I'm sorry, sir. We would like to open up the floor for discussion.
I got control of his mic, too. Hey, wake up. You need some more coffee? We got a good Cuban connection here. You can
okay, we could look at that. It's just you're banging on a bit. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, sorry about that. He's nursing a baby at home. No, I mean a hangover. You're nursing a hangover. That's right. Yeah.
Is there any public discussion for 617?
Wow.
How long do I have?
You've only got about 30 seconds, so get on with it.
Is the clerk going to start the timer?
Yeah, why don't you start the timer, clerk?
I don't need to start the timer. It starts automatically when you start talking into the microphone. You can see it on the display.
Oh, so now I have 8 seconds. Great. Okay, so I'll be brief then. Food freedom. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Wow, food freedom. What the heck does that mean?
Mayor, please remember, This isn't a debate. It's simply a public forum where all comments will be recorded. Are there any other comments?
Seriously though, what does food freedom mean? You know, should food be free, or should we be free to eat what we want? I agree with that one anyway. It'd be bacon double cheeseburgers for me.
Great. Are you done? Can we vote now?
I guess.
All right, deal. City Clerk, should we start the vote?
Started the vote.
Those in favor say aye.
No, wait. Well, you guys are way ahead of me. There's no need to verbally acknowledge the vote. We, through your touch screens, participants, you can just tap your screen and we can do this with our delegate units.
Wow, that looks to be pretty easy. What do I do?
Press yes, no, or abstain.
Okay, piece of cake. That is pretty easy. Alrighty then. It appears that this just couldn't get any easier. A pickle should be crunchy, by God. It's America anyway. City Council Person 2, are you serious? Mr. Goat?
Well, yes, I voted no because I basically don't want to eat a pickle that's been on the floor already.
Well, I'm sure they would clean it first.
Okay.
How about we add that little proposal to the, the thing? Make a note of that, okay? Yeah. Shoot, that hangover's really getting to you lately, isn't it? The ayes have it, I guess, huh? We passed.
Proposal 617 passes.
Next item is Proposal 617, which reads, "It is hereby deemed a felony and therefore illegal for anyone to knowingly poach a Sam Squanch in the county with a fine of $1,000 and up to a year in jail." We again open the floor for public discussion.
All right, well, I'm a hunter, and I'm getting thicker and thicker with this accent every time. With all due respect to council, this is completely unnecessary. It would further hurt this community economically. We get lots of curious folks walking around in them bushes, heavily armed, looking for that Sasquatch. And if they ever did come across him, it might rip their arms clear off. So, yeah, besides the money somebody would get for killing a Sasquatch would be way more than the $1,000 fine. So, I don't think it would stop people anyways.
Is there any other comments?
Yes.
All righty.
Thank you, council, for taking this proposal to vote. I'm an animal activist, and it's so important we protect our endangered species. Sasquatch are notoriously shy and just want to be left alone. I personally think all cryptozoologists should be banned from this county, but this proposal is a step in the right direction.
All righty then. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, good. Let's move to a vote. Mr. Goat, are you serious once again? What's with you today?
Sasquatch don't exist.
That's a matter of your opinion.
Well, yeah, it is. Everyone's got one, like something else. But actually, after decades, centuries even, no evidence.
You know what? I've heard enough of you. I've heard enough of you. After decades and centuries of listening to you, I'm moving on, okay? I'm just glad to see that this is all settled and that common sense has won the day. Anything else on our agenda, City Clerk?
No.
Well, all righty then. We shall adjourn this meeting.
This meeting has been streaming live, but I will also make sure a recording, including the voting results, gets posted online.
All right, very good. I guess it's time to break out for karaoke now. That's it. Ideally, everybody was kind of seeing what was going on there. The first thing we do in our script here, obviously, is start a meeting. So usually the city clerk or a manager or somebody comes in and would start the meeting beforehand. That sets up all of the voting permissions or all of the units.
It's going to interrupt him, and I'm now going to stop the
If you have control of video, it's always good to just get a recording, because you never know when you might need to have footage of someone sleeping when they should be doing their job.
So let's see, stepping through this, we'll get to the NFC card bit in just a second. But for now, stepping through it, we started our meeting. You saw the agenda come up, and our city clerk was moving through agenda items as they went through. What was really cool is it's all baked in. So as we got to the point where we needed to take a vote, he just went to the next agenda item, and it automatically set up all of our systems to vote at that point. And then you saw them get displayed. That came up on the CDA over here. You also saw what was happening on his screen. He was seeing voting results. For what it's worth, I also have a conference user application installed here, and this is not uncommon for a chairperson or city council person that is involved with like a request to speak list or something like that. The request to speak list does show up on the screen, but you can get other things and other information here as well, as you can see. My screen looks a little bit different than his. You can have, for every user application, you can have a different configuration, a different setup. Sometimes it might be a technician with lots and lots and lots of detail and information. Sometimes it might be a stupid mayor like in the role I was playing, not me. It's just the role I was playing.
You played it so well, it was almost like it's almost natural to you. You're born for the role. One thing's on that is, say, the voting on the roles we were talking about just then, because we're in a different meeting now. But if Scott was to pull up a voting graphic just now, so put the results up, yeah, you can see there's 19 seats. If we did the same back in the MXC council meeting, which we were in just previously, there'd only been 18 seats, because Scott is in the system as a secretary of the meeting, and the secretaries have no voting rights. So he's in the same person, in the same seat, just as we're setting up in different roles at different times. Chairperson normally gets the most amount of information and most amount of rights. If you're doing voting, we could even go to weighting of voting, because we're all equal, just some are more equal than others. So it could be that members of the board, for instance, get 2 votes for every one of the general floor or something like that, if it's ever needed. The whole software system, it's easy to use if you just don't need to do too much with it. If you want to start doing lots and lots and lots, you can go to vast extremes. Even the different types of voting, if you're setting a quorum, whether you can have a vote or not. What makes a vote pass? Is it just more yeses than noes? Is it more yeses than noes and abstains combined? Is it more? You could go on ad infinitum, but it can handle all those requirements if they are needed. So it's a very flexible system.
Yeah. So other things that happen, you saw mics turning on and off has been mentioned, but you saw the timer as well. Speech timers can be baked in. That, if I recall right, is that the only one that has a speech timer on it?
No, we've got. Sorry. So for the general floor, if they had 30 seconds, you don't have a timer because you can just ramble. Councillors were down as 1 minute each, I think, or 2 minutes, something like that. So again, we can have different levels for different people. So we actually, on that list that Scott's got up there, we did the participants in meeting role. So we preset all that stuff. Alternatively, you just say there is no speech time limit for anybody, or everyone's only got 30 seconds, or if we went to manual, then just to the right of where Scott currently is, he would then be adding time onto people, pausing timers, resetting times, etc., etc. So again, if you want to get complicated with it, you can, but you certainly don't need to.
And then finally, at the end, maybe we should have done this before we switched meetings, but you're able to print a report at the end of the meeting that shows everything that happened. Every time a microphone was turned on and off, how much time they spent speaking. Yeah, the voting results were documented. So that can be archived or printed, but it can't. It's a historical document and it cannot be changed. Another feature.
And obviously you can see the name signs linked to the card, linked to the microphone. So as soon as I put the card in, goes away again.
And you were not able to talk until you logged in.
Correct. So it's a security function. So we were running the software, or running the meeting off the CUA in the background there. This is now the CAA where we build a meeting up, and this is also where we go to collect a report. So to give you an idea, we were in that one, I believe. That'll take about 30 seconds to come up. It'll give us a PDF. It'll create a PDF document for us. And as Chris said, that will give us all information about the meeting, when it started, when it stopped, how many people were there, when someone requested to speak, how long they stayed on that request list before their microphone was live. All the voting is recorded, so for government councils, etc., obviously that's very important information. So we turned on at 2 minutes past 12. So we didn't. That was when you did it beforehand. All right. I ran it a few times this meeting. I've opened up the wrong one, but you get the same idea. So voting results are down here. We can see yes, no's, abstains. It was a final result. If we'd redone the vote later on in the day, or maybe ran the same meeting again the next day, it would then get a separate message saying not final, vote was rerun. So I'm based in the Middle East, so if the dictator doesn't get his right way, then we just vote again and again and again until we get it right. Or we just have one button voting, just yes. That's it, you know, yeah. We can see when people have requested to speak here. So Billy Goat requested to speak. He was on hold for 19 seconds before the chairman figured out how to make it work, and then only got to speak for 4 seconds anyway. In itself, not generally a great importance for council meetings and so on, but if you were doing audio recordings, when I've done events in the past, it could be that if I suddenly see 100 people all press the button to request at one point at the same time, I want to listen back to the audio because someone said something either fairly contentious or everyone agreed and just wanted to say, you're right, sir, thank you, or they're all arguing. So you can see how much general debate someone speaking can create. You know, if you've got someone really boring talking, no one wants to speak. They just want to sit there and have a snooze. Not you, obviously, otherwise. Yeah. But, you know, it gives value to people if it's a professional conference organizer, for instance, if we did rental work, so you're talking to an informer, something like that, they could then see how many people were interested in participating in each session of a conference. If you've got a conference running, various sessions going on, 30 people want to speak, only 10 get the chance, and 20 are disappointed, but the next session, only 2 people want to ask a question and it finished early. Next time, if they're redoing it, just stretch out the time for that first session. So it can be used in many ways. I'm just trying to make data sound exciting because I quite like it. I'm going to go and look at some Excel, sorry.
Well, very good. Are there any questions or thoughts or?
So do you see the mayors really working with the laptop and turning on and off people's microphones?
So it's like you've done this before. The mayor always asks for it.
Yeah.
And then they don't go to the training. And then they don't know how to turn things on and off. And then they realize, yeah, somebody else should be doing it.
So usually the clerk is kind of.
Yeah. And, oh, Mimic. So let's go back. Okay, all right. I'm not sure if you guys caught this or not, but this was you can take a screenshot, a graphic, you can take a picture, whatever, load it into a Mimic, and then you notice the mics there are turning on and off. They could be turned on and off remotely from Scott, so he can see an actual layout. This is helpful for a technician too, right? Somebody who's trying to run a much larger meeting, helpful for them.
So if I can just interject, so at the moment you've got because we're in the NFC enabled meeting, because obviously those units that haven't got an NFC card in them, that's why they're all greyed out. So Scott can't do anything from seats 7 through to 19, because technically they're not here in the meeting. So by putting my card in, it goes blue. Obviously, speaking is red. If we had a manual setup for this meeting, where you go to request, it's green. It's a good visual way for the technicians to find out. It may be that from the chairman's perspective, we have the CDA on his screen, the Mimic, as he's in the room. So it's easier for him to see a name comes up. It's a list. Oh, now we're going to hear from I don't know, Azerbaijan, and they're at least roughly in that area of the room because he can see where they are because we've rotated that Mimic so it suits him. If you've got the technician at the back of the house, he'd want it 180 degrees opposite. So you see it where you're most going to be, basically. We haven't figured out yet how that if you walked around with a tablet and turned it, it turns with you. That's not possible yet.
Additional control can be had there as well. Again, technician, if you need to bump up volumes a little bit here and there for mics or loudspeakers, you could do that as well. Yeah, so at this point, I'm always way too loud. Yeah. You can turn it up and down. You could also turn my loudspeaker up and down. It should be worth pointing out, you get this granular control with Software 6000. If you buy just the hardware without Software 6000, You still have control of microphones and loudspeaker, but it's a global setting. All microphones are turned up or down. Loudspeakers are turned up or down independently. Yeah?
I believe there's individual control, but not through a mimic diagram.
No, it's through third party.
Yeah.
On that, you could also have it in the same way that earlier on we said about the interpreters can save their preferred settings on an NFC card or a USB. You could be that when we build our database, if we know we've got the same councillors coming in each time, or the same members of the board, or wherever it is, we could have microphone attenuation attached to an individual. So they bring their card in, it automatically brings it down or brings it up as required.
Very good. I'll give you one more pitch for One Beyond. Those of you that have used our ceiling arrays or table arrays, they interface with that product as well, so they're using, you know, good information that's coming out of our microphones to make decisions about where to switch to. In fact, we have that in this room. If you've ever been in this room for a demo or seen that demo, that's kind of convincing. And also works with MXCW. No, not yet. I'm sorry. What else does One Beyond? Is it MXCW?
Yeah, you can do.
5900 as well. Yeah.
The only issue with the MXCW, because it's so portable, is if you just walk up and move away with your unit, it won't follow you. Yet. It's programmed the cameras to where it was when we programmed the cameras. If you move, the camera's looking at an empty chair.
Yeah.
Right now. We're working on that.
Yeah. So make sure, if you want to go to the back and get some hands-on with some of the gear, there's things you can, you know, check out, the flush mounts, and Michael had some real nice woodwork done, so you can check those out. If there's anything else we can help with, be happy to. Otherwise, feel free to go grab some cookies and whatever's out there. Thank you.
How's the video switching? Is that your system or that's something else?
It's making decisions to switch based on microphone activations.
Okay.
So it's looking at our,
Processor then,
that's there, yeah, One Beyond is looking at it.
that's all One Beyond.
Yeah.
It's a small rack back there. If you want to have a look, we can show you that. It's no problem.
Oh.
That's not this meeting. The meeting is still live streaming. If you want to hear what's actually being transmitted, you can listen to these headphones. It sounds really good.
Yeah. This seems to be a thing lately, is like all the city councils and municipalities want to be on Facebook live streaming. Sometimes they're required to document it that way. But then once they get the camera thing going, they go, audio doesn't sound so good anymore. So I think there's some good opportunity there for those types of environments. But, oh, believe it or not, that script was all real. Those are real laws. We didn't have to come up with anything stupid. Yeah.
So these the two things on the screens are Brandon, I can't hear you. Oh.
He's not going to be able to, because we're in an NFC meeting.
Oh, he's not. You're not logged in.
This is One Beyond. That's sure that display there. Yeah, that's all part of your package.
This is our package, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess just to run you real quick, the way these cameras are IP cameras, they chase back to the One Beyond computer controller. We also have an ATEM switch in there to bring various things in and switch displays. We could have just taken a direct loop off of their cameras and tried to feed it so that you wouldn't have a little bit of lag here. But once it hits the One Beyond server, then it gets wrapped up and sent out the stream, in this case to a private YouTube channel. Everything's in sync on that stream. We just haven't done any video audio sync to make this feed look any better than it is.
What we've also done, we were talking about doing a CDA up here. We've made a separate CDA, which is basically just a chroma key. So I've just turned that on over the top of their live feed. So as microphones come on off, you'll see different names will appear of the speakers as well. Because let's be honest, we all just like being on telly with our names there, and we can prove we actually attended the meeting we should have been at.
I was here, yeah. I should have been here. You should have been here. There we go. Yep. Very good.
I thought that was offensive. I didn't really. Where I come from, that's offensive language. Popping my peas. You don't come down London, son. We'll come and have a word with you.
So the video end is the only part that's not sure your platform?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've gone through video switcher back there, but that's not ours. But Otherwise, yes.
Yeah.
We don't take responsibility for the script either.
We're blaming Chris's wife.
Someone put it together.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Very good.
Yeah. Don't remove microphones when they're live. There you
It says
go.
modern, and I decided.
All right. Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.